started. Everybody looks ready. I want to welcome everybody here. What a terrific turnout for Gail. Let's have a round of applause for Gail. For all of you for supporting her. And really, what an amazing journey it's been for Gail over these last 4 years. And that's where I come in. I want to talk a little bit just about myself and how I met Gail and how I'm here today. My name's Carol Rodu. I'm publisher of ManchesterEngland.com. It's an online news site. And about 4 years ago in April, I got an instant message on Facebook from a woman I didn't know who thought she had a great story. And I get that a lot. People always think they have a great story. But Gail said that she had won $10,000 from AARP for a photograph that she took. And an essay, a 200-word essay with a photograph. Yep. And she thought it was newsworthy, and I thought, well, that sounds interesting. Tell me more. So I was already interested, but when Gail started to tell me her story about the reason that the $10,000 was significant to her, because that's how much that she put aside to publish this book that she had in her heart to write about the signs that she felt she was getting from her husband from the other side. And just as she began to wind her story, I was already sold, like, this lady is something. And, you know, I was thinking about that also on the drive here. I'm following the signs to get here, and I'm thinking, you know, we all follow signs every day, right? And why? What's the purpose of a sign? Sign is supposed to get you where you need to be, supposed to direct you. It's guidance. How many of you have missed the sign that you were supposed to take or not taken the turn, even though you knew it was for you? Take this right turn now, and you drive by and say, I think I should have taken that right turn. You know, so how many of you have followed signs? We all have. But somehow, when somebody like Gail comes along and says, I got a sign, I saw it in the woods, you know, or something like that, we go like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean sign? That's crazy talk. But that's because Gail is tuned into something that I think any of you who've read the book already can begin to understand. When we follow signs, and I think we all get them or we recognize them in hindsight, that's why it's such a powerful message. And I think, so from there, Gail wrote this, I wrote the story about Gail, and I learned so much about her. And she reminded me in the beginning that the reason she reached out to me and not another publication was because I had written a story about her niece, Jody. Over there. Yeah, when Jody was still in high school, 11 years ago? Yeah. She was getting ready to graduate, and then this guy over here, Hollywood, Mark Schoenfeld, he saw some signs there. He recognized something. He's a Broadway producer of Brooklyn the Musical, and he saw something in Jody, and he helped Jody along, and we're going to hear more from Jody in a little bit, but let's get back to Gail, shall we? So anyway, Gail then proceeded to write at least a dozen articles for me with photographs and these heartfelt stories. You know, she's a straight shooter, and she tells it like it is, and she talks from her heart. She doesn't mess around, but she gets right to the heart of the matter. And I feel like I've heard so many people in my lifetime say, I'm going to write a book one day. But how many people do it? Amen. This lady, inside of 4 years, did everything she said she was going to do. That's her determination. That's her spirit, her can-do attitude, her positive attitude. She's fearless in so many ways except one, the thing I'm about to call on her to do. She's afraid somehow to face this moment, but this is a room full of love for this woman, and she should have seen that sign a little time ago. So let's hear it for Gail.
You can do it, Gail. Gail, you can do it.
This is hard for me. I got some Sylvania people that remember when I used to teach them out on the line. I taught welding. Some of you are here. I wonder if they're going to respond when I go, oh, I wish I was a little bar of soap. Oh, they don't want to do it? Oh, we're going to do it again. Oh, I wish I was a little bar of soap. Oh, I wish I was a little bar of soap. she is a city in my tubby. Oh, I wish I was a little bar of soap. I had like 30 people I had to train, and that's the song they had to sing before we started our night. I love being out on the mountain line. I used to sing the Wizard of Oz. I used to dance for everybody. I can get up and play a mean tambourine, but to get up here and do this today, I'm a wreck. But go with the flow. If I cry, laugh. If I forget where I am, remind me. Anyways, what I want to say is my book is called Soul Signs from the Other Side, and it's by me, and it's a love story and a spiritual memoir. And all I'm going to say is, for a dropout, I did it!
Yeah.
How I had to start. I'm going to tell you, 2 years, I get waken up by spirit, write that story, tell that story. So I did a lot of notes and I threw them. I had a box full after 2 years, a big box, and I said, I think that's enough to do my story. And then I had to find someone to be my developmental editor, and I didn't know who I was going to get, and it all fell into place. So I worked with her for a year and a month. Her name is Patricia Hughes. I don't know if she's in here tonight. Is Patty Hughes here tonight? She called me, she said she was sick and she thought she might not make it, but this is up to you, Patty. You'll see it on the video. I'm being filmed tonight, by the way, by Mr. Glenn Willett. I can't walk far without this. Mr. Glenn Willett, he's filming tonight, and it's going to be air, and I'll write it on my Facebook page when it's going to come out, so you can watch it too, and I hope, Patty, this is for you, because if I hadn't had you, I don't know how I would have done it, because she was with me for a year and a month, and we became good friends. We worked together. She's my neighbor. She knows a lot more about me and me about her. I would write the story, she'd come in, she'd read it, and she'd go, oh my God, that happened. I'd go, yeah, why would I lie about it? And then she always called me the backwoods Frenchman. She called me the backwoods Frenchman. I'm going to tell you, this used to drive me nuts. She'd read the story, take a sentence, and put it to the front because it was behind. It wasn't where it belonged. So after a while, you figure it out. I got a story. I'm going to do what she taught me, and I did it. She comes in, she reads the story, and she took what was in the back to the front when I already did it. So she put it back to where it belonged. I said, I can't win, so there you go. That's it. But anyways, give me a minute here. I forgot what I was going to start with. I want to start with people that helped me endorse my book. So first off, I'd like to have Ina Castana. Please stand up so that everybody can, is my friend Ina Castana. She's 1989, 1990 New Hampshire Seacoast Businesswoman of the Year, and I appreciate your endorsement. That was beautiful. I love it. If you all get the book, it's on the back page. I'd like to also introduce to you Carol Robidoux. She not only took me on, she wrote a great thing. She's our Manchester Inkling journalist and publisher. And I appreciate you taking me on, because you're only one of the ones that would take me on, and some of my books got sold from the help of you, so I really appreciate it, and I thank you. And then, last but not least, that man in the beret over there. That's Mr. Producer. His name is Mark Schoenfeld. He's one of my endorsers. He's a Broadway playwright and Hollywood screenwriter, and of course, he found my niece Jody. You know, and with him mentoring her and everything, she not only works for Trans-Siberian Orchestra, dances, sings, the whole 9 yards. She's now working for Cher. She does touring with Cher, and some of you are going to get to see her in action tonight, even with me. Now, if you all read my book, you all know that I play a mean tambourine. Tonight, you're going to see me in action. Read my notes. Like I said, 4 years writing. After 3 years and a month, it took me a good 5 months to find someone to take the book. I'm not Steve Harvey or, Oprah Winfrey, God forbid. And I wouldn't want their money. I'd be giving it all away anyways, because I like to help. I like to help everybody else. I try to do the best I can. And because I'm just a little peon, I had to do it all myself. Oh, thank you. I had to do it. I got my sister Tammy, by the way, sitting in the front because I told her when I talk, I might just talk to her so I don't break down. So she goes, I got to go take my seat so you can look at me. My sister Tammy. But anyways, I'm a little peon. It took me a year. It took me 6 months to find someone that would take my book on. And then when I found out, it was another 6 months to get it all together and get it out there. So it was a total of 4 years. But I'm proud of myself. I dropped out of school. I went to freshman year. That was it. So I'm proud that I did it. My book don't have big words, but they come out with these big words. I say, that's not me. I don't even know what the word is, so why would I want it in my book? And I have to give props out to Deidre Randall from Peter Randall Publishing. She's not here today, but if she sees this, I can say I should give a shout out to her and Kate Creeshon, who helped me put my book together. I'm not going to say there wasn't no little tug of war there, because some things they didn't want, I wanted, and it all came down to, I'm paying you. I want it done my way. That's why it took so long. The book cover, my book cover is 2 pictures. One from my best friend who's up in heaven right now. When that picture showed up, I knew I had to use it. And my dog had passed, so I figured, why not use the picture of Bob and my dog going through the other side. And I don't know if any of you guys see this, but on the book cover, it's a cold day, it's a cold, raw day, but when you go through to the other side, the trees are all green and green. I did that on purpose. There's a reason for that. Hold on. One card down, I got 9 of them. Bear with me, I didn't cry yet. I called out the names. All right, I got somebody else I want to call out to. Mr. Larry Maurice, could you please stand?
Who's Larry?
Larry Maurice, he's known as Father Larry at work. He used to wear the black tops. I don't know why he's not wearing it today with the white collar. He was Father Larry, and I used to go in his confessional booth. Larry, if it wasn't for you finding my sister, he's my private investigator. That chapter would have never got told if it wasn't for Larry, and I appreciate your help. Thank you. One more thing, though, before you sit. Amanda Adams. Where is she?
Right here.
That is the man that found you when I hired somebody. This is Amanda. She's part of the story, Larry, that I told you about. And she got to see her grandma before she passed. So thank you for that there, too. Number 2 gone. I also want to thank anybody that signed the document that's in my book. I had to have signed documents. I had to have anybody's picture, their names, had permission. That was a lot of work. A lot of papers going out, a lot of papers coming back in. That, I had everybody. And I want to thank my family for agreeing to use their stories, and whoever's in my book. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It wouldn't have never got done if I couldn't use half of your stories. So I appreciate it very much. Sir John, so you, my family. There's so many of you. A friend of mine, her sisters are here, and they're here today, and thank you so much for letting me do Colleen's story. She's a good friend of mine. A lot of stories are friends of mine. Some of them have passed on, and some passed on after the book came out. So, but I have a few stories later on that I want to show you, and it's never happened to me before, and it happened recently, and it's not even in my book, and I hope you like it. But first off, me, I would say, I'm just a freshman, so I say this. My book is about, Terry, I'm gonna kill you. My book is about, to me it's a love story with signs, and it's got lots of pictures trying to prove there's a heaven. But my developmental editor, who's not here because she's sick and she called me this morning, she wrote something, and I wanna show you how smart she is. She wrote this on my review, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So this one's for you, Patty. I would have had you stand up. You're lucky you're not here because you would have killed me. All right, she wrote, my book is A Poignant Story of Enduring Love and Spiritual Connection. I'm surprised this paper's not shaking. Gail takes us on a journey through a childhood marked by both poverty and generosity, friendship and paternal abandonment. She invites us into the most intimate moments of her life as she learns the familiar lesson of bad romance and the ways that experience helped her to appreciate the value of true love when it showed itself. At the height of her happiness, a devastating diagnosis forces her to rethink the important things in life, and she becomes the bridge between worlds for her husband as he comes to accept endings and new beginnings. Gail guides us through the small coincidences of everyday life and shows us how to connect those gentle reminders to our loved ones who have died as signs from them of their undying love for us. A familiar and humorous storyteller, you will feel like you are listening to an old friend. So all the ones that did the reviews, I thank you for that, because it's those reviews that are going to get more people that are going to want to read my book. So thank you for all those that already left a review. I appreciate it. This is 2.5 because I had to put something in between. It couldn't go after 3 or 4. Wouldn't admit. I put it under 2.5. I want to read a little thing in my book just to show you the kind of love that me and Bob had. I'm going to read the chapter 1. It's a small little thing, but it just goes to show you the kind of humor we had in our marriage. This man is dying, and this is what he says to me. So here's chapter 1 in the beginning, just a few pages. Bear with me. The book's not shaking, so I'm doing good. Most times I think back to this moment. Everything will be all right. Everything will be okay, Bob said as he patted my hand through the bars of the hospital bed that was in our living room. I always sat by his side and slipped my hand through the bars and held his hand tightly. I couldn't look at him as I didn't want him to see the tears running down my face. He must have known his days were limited and his end was coming soon. You have to go on alone, Gail. You will be okay. Everything will be okay. Oh, how I couldn't look at him. I was thinking how I would miss his smile and his infectious laugh. Our Sunday nights in the hot tub. His gentle kiss, his hands always pat my butt, calling me his sexy babe. Me sexy. Oh, I loved it though. His jokes, his naked dancing jig. God, if you'd see him come out of the shower doing that, woo! And there would be a little bit of, That's my husband. That was my husband, and I love that side of him. Naked dancing jigs coming out of the shower, and the way he said I love you so many times a day. His Santa Claus cheeks. When we moved to Emerald Lake, we were going to be Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus because he had the nice kind of whitish hair and the biggest Santa Claus cheeks. We never got to do that, but it's okay. It was a thought. His warm touch and his soft hands, and for his man, they were soft. He's holding me tight in the smell of his cologne. Avon cologne. I think it was called Wild Country. I still have a bottle, half a bottle. I can't get rid of it. And every now and then, if I want a little side smell of him, I'll just take a little whiff of that. Say, he's here. We never went anywhere without holding hands. He gazed into my eyes, staring at me with those beautiful baby blues. So much was going through my mind that day. I turned and blew him a kiss, and he blew one back as he always did. I'm going to miss you so much, I said. It didn't matter how many tears were running down my cheeks. I love you so much. Make sure you send me signs because you know I will receive them. He listened to all that when I tell him things that would happen. Right now it's hard like to do a table knocking because he was the fun part, was telling him my joy and guess what happened last night and all that. So I haven't really played around with this stuff for like 10 years, but I did it all for free and all from my heart. Can you promise me one more thing, I told him as my tears fell. I asked, can you make sure that you are the first to come and get me when it's my time to meet you in heaven? Again, he shook his head and said, yes, you can count on it. We're almost there. I had one more question. How am I to know it's you? What sign will you send me? How many people think that, their husband's dying? What sign are you going to send me? Me. I wanted to know, but I never expected his answer. He thought about this for a minute, actually thought about it for a while, and he had that shitty grin on his face. I knew it was going to be a doozy. And in a minute, he told me he was going to send me bad, smelly farts. I'm like, really, Bob? And he's in his bed in our living room, and he's smiling. He's like this, So you just picture that, I said, really? I said, you're going to give me bad, smelly farts? Yep, he said, with the biggest shitty grin ever. Okay, smelly farts it is. We didn't talk much more that afternoon. We sat holding hands watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It was quiet, nothing more needed to be said. We just had to keep remembering everything will be okay. 4 months after Bob had passed, I had to go to the hospital for tests. I had time to kill and went into the gift shop where I saw a sign that read, if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. This is sitting in my kitchen. I love it. If you're waiting for a sign, this is it. I go, who could pass that up? Me. I couldn't pass that up, definitely. I had to get it. It made me chuckle. I asked the clerk to hold it for me while I continued to shop, but something more meaningful was about to hit me square in the face. How could I have missed this? I was thinking to myself as the second sign came into view, written on the words of comfort Bob had spoken to me on the day 4 months ago, everything will be okay. There was a sign in this shop, and it said exactly that, everything will be okay. I cried seeing that silly sign. The owner came over and asked if I was okay. Oh my goodness, I laughed. She asked me if I'm okay. I have to have that sign, I tell her. It's the last one, she said, getting it down for me. Bob was surely with me this day. I just knew it. And then I said, let's start from the beginning. But here's a man in his deathbed dying, and he gives me that for a sign. I just thought that was awesome, and it had to be put here. Thank you. Thank you, baby. Now I figured that this card says show and tell. I'm going to talk about the little black box. It's chapter 20. I did this all this morning because I knew I couldn't remember it, and I've been crying all morning. Come here. People coming here today, oh my God, they shocked the shit out of me. You know who you are. They didn't even know about the book or nothing. And then just this morning they heard and they hear. And I'm sorry about the word there, Edith, but that's part of me. S-H-I-T is one of my favorite words. I'm sorry. Anyways, when I did my husband's obituary, I did 2 columns and I did two photos. One was his Marine and one was his NASCAR. He wore a NASCAR hat and it said NASCAR on it. And I knew those 2 people represented Bob, his being a Marine and a NASCAR hat. This is the picture. This is Bob, him and his NASCAR. His fishing, his cigars, his NASCAR, his wifey, and his dog. He was happy. After he died, I asked God for a sign. I ordered his favorite cigars, and if you know Bob, they were expensive, so yeah, I did this huge order for the luncheon. I did a camouflage photos, that's me. I'm a photographer, amateur, love doing it, something I do on the side. I mean, I'm like a woman of all trades, but I know I'm not big at it, I'm just an amateur. And I did a camouflage with all his pictures from when he was a baby all the way around to the day we got married. But I was sitting here with my daughter and my granddaughter, and we doing up all the cigars. I made this new label with Bob smoking a fatty, and I said, I'm gonna have them, they're like cigar labels. I ordered up a lot of cigars, many, cost me a bundle. It said better than a fart, and I figured once everybody knew Bob was gonna send me bad smelly farts, they'll get it when they get to the luncheon, right? Well, while we're doing that preparing, I only had a couple days, probably 4 days to get everything done that I wanted to do, but I knew what I wanted to do in my mind. And I ordered these and I rushed them. I rushed the labels, I rushed the cigars, and I was sitting here with my daughter and my granddaughter, and on the phone when I ordered the cigars, oh man, because of the big order, we're gonna send you a gift. They don't know me. They don't know Bob. They just have our home address and they ship those cigars every month because when Bob was ill, he started smoking them like cigarettes, and I didn't give a damn because I felt like if it kept him calm, it made me happy. But this little black box came in and my daughter handed it to me and said, you gonna open this? I said, not right now. I don't procrastinate. I wanna get things done. I wanna get it out of the way. Later on, she handed it to me. And this little black box, I opened it up and I slid it open. The first thing I can see, and I know you're not gonna be able to see that, it says NASCAR in between this little slit, NASCAR. I see that and I open it up and I'm going, oh my God, the chills go right through my body. I go, Bob's here, and the tears start coming down. My daughter knows me. She said, what's the matter? And I said, look, it says NASCAR. Bob was big with NASCAR. It was his picture in the obituary. I opened it up. And how appropriate. A lighter for his cigars, NASCAR. It matched the cap. It matched the cap that was on his head. Chills went through me. I looked up to heaven. I blew him a kiss. I said, Bob, you promised me signs and you're starting already. We didn't even have his funeral or nothing yet. It was only like a couple days into it, and already he was sending me his signs. And even before the funeral, any of that, he was sending me his signs. The day of the funeral, And I see the woodpecker, and he's banging on a tree, and the Marines are doing the flag, and they're saluting me, but all I can hear is that woodpecker, and I want to know where the hell he is. He taught me so much about nature and everything, you know? So, looking for the woodpecker, couldn't find him, but something stood out that day, the day that my husband died. There's a chapter in there about magnolias, his favorite flower, his favorite bush, his favorite tree. Hold on.
Yes, I can tell.
His favorite tree. And the day of his funeral, I happened to look over, and I didn't know at the time when we bought the stone, and we went to see that stone together. How many people get to see that? He was happy about it. He cried. He was happy about it. We got caught in a rainstorm that day. We didn't care. How many people see that? And a magnolia was blooming the day of his funeral. And I said, another sign. It's my husband. Holy crap, he's doing so good. Babe, you know, the one thing I gotta tell everybody, you gotta do this. Whether you can't speak, talk, whatever, sign language, I don't care, but if you can talk, you say it out loud. You want a sign, and you keep asking for that sign, and it might not come right away, but it's eventually gonna come. And then when it does, you need to let them know, because they like the word thank you. You thank them. And you thank them for that sign, because you're going to receive more, but you got to do it out loud. And for those of you that, you know, sign language, I don't care how you do it, get that message that you got their sign, because the more you tell them that their sign has been reached to you, the more you're going to get. Right now, I've been waiting for a sign for, see, it's not even scripted, it's coming from my head. My dog passed. I know my dog's with Bob, and I've been asking now, I think it's been 2 years, 2016, Spirit died in December, and I've been asking, it's been 2 years, I didn't get my wish yet. I get Bob alone, I get a sign from Spirit, but I want them both to come together, and I'm going to keep asking. Been 2 years, I didn't get it yet, but I know I am, because I have the faith that it's going to come through. But how cool is that? We didn't even, I mean, this is, I had to give you a show and tell. Get in there. I'm doing okay. Number 4. I think I got 9 of these. Yeah, I've got quite a bit. Hi, Helen. It says, talk about best friend Helen. Tell the dancing light story. So I got a story for you guys, not in the book. It's happened twice. My family doesn't even know. They know this story, but they don't know the beginning of it. I'm going to tell you in a minute. Dancing lights, it's something new. I do table tipping, used to be table tipping, I call it table knocking. I like to change things up. You can get signs from a song, something on TV, a number. I mean, there's just so many of them on a feather. I can go on. Bob, smelly farts. Before my dog died, every time she farted, I'd say, oh God, Bob, cut the crap, you know, before my dog died. I always get them, and every now and then I do get them. And sometimes when I go down in my cellar where smoking was allowed, I get that little faint scent of a cigar. And I get it, and I go, oh, just for a minute, I go, babe, I know you're here. And I blow a kiss up to him. I always let them know. But anyways, dancing lights. This is something new. You don't hear about this with signs. This is something new for me too. It happened years ago, and it happened recently. So I want to explain what dancing lights is. That's what I call it. I mean, maybe there's a name. I don't know what the name is. I call it dancing lights because that's what they did. My mother's boyfriend, Ray, he was like a dad to some of us. My father wasn't in the picture. His picture's always going to be around. I got pictures of Bob's mom, never met her. He died when she was 12. Her picture's hanging on my walls. I feel her around me, so why not represent her in the house? I don't put them away. Well, this is Ray. I know you can't see it. He's in his uniform. I got his wife, his ex-wife. He never married my mom. My mom never divorced my dad. But he was a big thing for our family. He loved my mom, and he took a lot of kids in. I mean, we're a family of 13, and I think at the time he took in 10 of us. That's a man with a heart. So I want to represent Ray here today. That's a man with a heart. And the dancing light story, I think Ray died November, if I'm correct, 1989. I'm not always correct, but my memory serves me. 1989, and it was, we bought our house, me and Bob, in 1992, a little Cape on South Beach Street. And this was around Christmas time because my neighbors had their lights, their icicle lights. It was a big thing then, and back then I had the shades open, and I was laying across my bed just looking out at my window to their lights. All of a sudden, at that moment, waiting to go to my mom's, she was still alive then, waiting to go to her house, or I can't even remember now, but 1989, 92. My mother was still alive because she died in 1998. Go to my mom's house. We always got together at Christmas time. But while I'm waiting, I just laid across the bed, and with my window open, I could see the lights on the porch. It was a two-family apartment, and they had their icicles lights on. And all of a sudden, I saw these dancing lights. And I watched them, and they came in through my window, and they bounced off a wall, and they went right in front of me. I had nothing there at the time. Today I have Bob's plaque, but at the time I had nothing there. And we have a friend of the family. His name is Roger Francor, and he did some artwork of Ray. It's a sketch pencil artwork, and that artwork was on my wall. And I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen this before. I've never talked about it, never saw it before, until it happened to me again. This time I got proof. And tell you what happened. I said, okay, pinch myself, make sure I'm not sleeping. I pinched myself, okay, I'm awake. I know when I get up and I go get my camera, it's gonna be gone. Sure enough, but I stayed and I watched a good half hour. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I said, no one's gonna believe me, I kept it to myself. I got up, I did just that. Maybe after a half an hour, I went and got my camera, I came back and it was gone, and I was so upset. But being smarter and wiser, when it happened the second time, I knew to demand for it to come back, and that's what I did with my best friend Helen. I'm going to explain. My best friend Helen, she's in the book about the rabbit. She died the same cancer of my husband, glioblastoma multiforme number 4. Same thing, we had so many things that happened. I have a lot of best friends. She's one of them. I talk about a few of them in the book. I try to keep everybody close to my heart. I don't like to say, I got one best friend. I have a lot of best friends. I'm lucky. I'm lucky like that. Well, Helen, her sign to me would be the rabbit. And if you all read the book, you know 16 days later, I'm going down the trails. Never see a rabbit. All the years I lived there, and there's a lady coming out with a rabbit. And floored me, blew me away. Of course, that's in the book. But something you guys don't know, Helen loved hearts. I'd go down the trails and it was a heart log, and I took a picture of it and I posted it online and wrote, I love you, Helen, I miss you, and the log was a heart. I said, wow, it's cool. So I think of Helen with the hearts. Everybody says, how come you don't think of Bob that way? I said, because he gave me a heart ring when he proposed to me. But that's not Bob. I get different signs for Bob. You have different signs with everybody. Just like one person, there can be a different sign. Someone says, oh, I see a butterfly, I think of this one, or I see a ladybug, I think of that one. It's all the same person. Everybody's going to have their own different signs. But I'm just going to tell you, the minute you get that sign and you think of somebody in your head right away, that's who came to say hello. Just remember that. And if they come and say hello and you get the chills and you say, hi, like I could say, hi, Bob, I get the chills right now. I can tell you he's here with me because I can feel him. Hold on. But just say hello. And when you say, is that you? And if you get the chills like I do, maybe most of you don't get that, but I get the chills. And that's my way of them saying, yes, it's me. If I don't get that, then I know I'm off a little bit, and I'll figure it out, but I will get it. Let's get back to the dancing light. See this? I have a drink and I can freaking go talk forever, huh? And I was worried. Holy shit. Sorry, Edith. I don't mean to, but that's me. I love you, Edith. All right, dancing lights. Second time, only time in my life. I don't know if it's out there. If it ain't, hallelujah, I'm going to be the first one to tell you about a sign with dancing lights. Helen loved hearts. I got a heart ring, I got a heart brooch, I got heart earrings after she passed. I would not take it from her while she was alive. I didn't want to. Her husband gave them to me, and I appreciated that. Well, here's the story. My book wasn't supposed to come out till January 1st. You guys know it as January 1st because I had to help hold it back. Jesus had a hand in this because Christmas Day I get the thing from Amazon that my book's ready. They told me 2 weeks. I didn't want to have to deal with taxes. I didn't want to have to deal with any of that for this year. We're in December. Wait till next year. Well, now it's out. I gotta hide it from people. I don't want anybody to know that my book's ready because I don't want to have to deal with taxes for the following year. So I'm upset. I'm going, she told me 2 weeks. Of course I'm upset. Sorry, Deirdre, I was upset, but I figured it out. I had to go to the bathroom. You're gonna love this. Sitting on the toilet, and I'm a little upset that she told me they were gonna wait 2 weeks and they didn't, and how am I gonna do it by? I'm sitting on the toilet, and I have a skylight that comes in. It didn't come from the skylight. I have a big jacuzzi tub. I talk about that tub. Ooh. Had a lot of fun in that tub. Anyways, it was big. It could handle both of us. Anyways, there was a little square window. And while I'm sitting on the toilet and I'm upset, how am I going to do this and not tell people? I figured it out afterwards. Just don't tell anybody. And by doing that and waiting until January 1st, my book sales went down because according to Amazon, I wasn't selling any books, so I was holding it back on purpose. But Amazon doesn't know that. We had a little call and the book's back up to where I wanted it. Of course, Gail won. Anyways, while I was on, thank you. While I was, oh man, I gave him a ream. Now, people say don't give me too much info. Well, I'm going to give you all the info because this is me. I talk from the heart. I'm sitting on the toilet, and this window here, not the skylight. I see this light coming in. Now, we've all seen rays of sunlight come in. We've all seen that. We've seen the dust particles. You've all seen that when the sun shines in. This was different. This was dancing lights. This dancing light, I'm sitting on the toilet and I'm upset. And I look over and I can see the dancing lights. I'm going, oh my God, it's the second time. I haven't seen it since 1992, whatever. Coming in, I watched it, I followed it. I have plants in my bathroom, and this planted right on, this light from a square window, a good sized square window, you know. This light planted on my ivy, and it was a heart. It was a light of hearts. It was a heart of light, I should say that. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, you forget about being man and everything. Oh, Helen's here. Helen, I know you're here. And she was represented by the hearts. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing, the way it danced. This was just not no ray with dust. This was a dancing light. And I followed it, and I go, oh my God, if I get off the toilet and go get my camera, you're gonna be gone too. I'm not gonna have any proof. This time, I'm smarter from 23 years ago. Helen, you better be here when I get back. I'm gonna tell you what I did. I got off the toilet with my pants to here, walked like this, went to my kitchen, grabbed my camera, walked back, sat back down, look over, the light's gone. Pissed me off. But I knew what to do this time. Pissed me off. I go, no one's gonna believe me because I never told that story before. But I got proof. It's not in my book. It happened after my book came out. So I'm gonna pass these out to you. The first two pictures, I'm gonna tell you how it came back. I demanded it. Helen, don't do this to me. I need proof. I talk out loud. I keep telling you that. You talk out loud and you get your answers. I need proof, Helen. I got my camera and I got it up to my face. Please come back. Please, Helen. You know I love you. Please come back. And I waited and I waited. I see it. The dancing light. Dancing. Comes down. Goes on that same freaking leaf. The same heart. Click, click. And then it was gone. Then I took another picture to show where it was. And then when it was gone, within seconds. Thank you, Helen, I got my answer. I'm just not gonna post till January 1st. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But now, I want you to pass these out. Look at all three pictures. Why did not that square window, the light, come down on the whole plant? And why was it a heart? Is when I mentioned Helen's name, she went through my whole body. That's how I know. Thank you, Helen, and I know you're proud of me today. Pass these around so everybody can see. I want to pass them down this way. Pass them for everybody to see. One picture zoomed in. Pass them for everybody to see. That's me. Holy shit. You got three pictures here, so open them all up. You got a heart, you got a close-up of a heart, and you got nothing. And that's all within seconds taking that picture.
Two eyes.
Oh yeah. If I'm the first one to talk about dancing lights, so be it. I invented it. Dancing lights is a sign for me. Hallelujah. I hope you see the hearts. Now, sometimes numbers are important. Sometimes when my son was with us, he didn't like to say I love you, so I used to tell him 143. I has one letter, love has four, and you has three letters. So on all his cards he'd write 143, so I knew my son loved us. Well, my husband started doing that. 143. But I told him, that ain't gonna work with you. I wanna hear it. I wanna hear I love you so I can say it back. But that is very important to me. If you open your books, on page 143, it blew my mind, because it wasn't supposed to come out that way. Spirit told me, open the book to page 143, and there you're gonna see a picture of my husband dressed as a woman, because he wanted to see what a baby shower was all about. But if you look on page 142 now, I went through this manuscript with a fine-tooth comb, and I'm not perfect. I got mistakes. I find my mistakes in my book. I don't care, I'm not perfect. Well, when I looked in the book, it's a picture of my husband, and I'm going, wow, that shouldn't have been there. Because if you look on page 142 at the bottom, it says, below is a picture of my husband dressed as a woman. So it should have been on page 142, and somehow it got moved to 143, and I wasn't told. So that was my husband telling me he loves me. So that's how I take that. I don't care how anybody in this room takes it, but that's how I take it. My husband loves me. 143 to you too, baby. Now I want to tell another story with a number. My cousins, when Bob died, they sent me the dinghy. There's a story in that about the dinghy. I got a lot of little mini stories. I could make a mini series. Maybe they'll do a movie on me. Wouldn't that be cool? I could play Gail. My cousin told me, they gave me permission, they gave me a dinghy when Bob died. In my book, I talk about the dinghy. The last place we went to with my husband was Foxwoods Resort, but they have an Indian museum. I take everybody there, God, I love it there. And of course, it's spiritual to me because that's the last place I took him. He was listening, we had to leave early. We were at the museum, had to get it right back to the hotel, pack the bags and get him home. He didn't want to go to the hospital. He wanted to watch the Super Bowl. It was 4 days away, and I said, you know what, let him have his wish. After the Super Bowl, the next day, brought him in the hospital. It wasn't long after that, you know, he wasn't here. But the weird part is, my cousins didn't know this. And when we went to this museum, there was a dinghy, and there was a guy, there's a teepees, and you can go inside them, and they're big wigwams, and the mannequins are huge. They're taller than me, for Pete's sake. It's huge. It's beautiful down there. Foxwoods Museum. If you go to Foxwoods, take the time out and go see it. Well, there's two Indians in a boat, and the man's coming home with the fish, and there's a dinghy. It's a cutout dinghy. And Walt would always say, that's me, babe. I'm bringing home the fish. He was the best fisherman there ever was. Well, I did this story, and I got permission from my cousins. And one of my cousins, Kim Brady, had to let me know what happened to them. Their story's on page 156, and she read the story to her husband. And she wrote and told me, you're not going to believe this, Gail, but that's my husband's favorite number. 156, he plays it all the time. And the story came out on page 156. Coincidence? I like to take it as a sign. Bob said, thank you for that dinghy.
There you go.
I love it. One of those index cards says dancing lights. I already told you that story, so one more down. I was a wreck this morning. I don't know why I was crying. Oh. Thank God for notes, huh? I was just going to write it all down, but I would have probably had another book to read to you today, so I said, I better just write little notes and just tell you what I can from my heart. And I'm not blacking out here, so I'm doing okay. In my book, I have 5-year anniversary poems. I write them in the Union later. I pay to have them written, and it's what happens the year before. I try to remember what happened the year before, who's passed. try to write a little story of my life while he's not here. Well, I wrote my 6-year poem. It's not going to be here until April 28th. April 28th. I got a little story to say about that. April 28th, most of us are going down to see my niece. She got a side job with Cher. How awesome is that? Jody Katz. We had to do this on this day because she had a little time off, and we planned it this way. We got a little treat for you later. But I have to tell you something. Me and my husband, financially a little bit, helped Jody out. And the date of his death is April 28th, and that's the only time Jody's going to be close to New Hampshire is April 28th. So I can bet, you can bet, that my husband knows about Jody singing for Cher, and we're going to be there cheering her on. That's all I got to say to that. So I did a 6-year poem. I'm always trying to promote myself. This one don't want me, that one don't want me, this one's not calling back. I said, if I'm gonna pay for a poem in the paper to immortalize my husband and let him know how much I love him and keep his memory alive, I'm gonna find a way to incorporate my book in it. Because if I'm paying for that, which was $168.19, and they finally okayed it, I prayed to Mother Mary, she's my idol, Mother Mary, that this would go through, and it did. Why not? I'm paying for it. So I'm gonna let you hear the poem that I just did. And I have to tell you, my book is called Soul Signs from the Other Side. I went on my computer and I asked them to give me all the things that rhyme with the word side. Got a bunch of them. Sit in my living room like I always do, watch TV, and I start doing my poem. Within an hour, it's done. So I want to read you the poem before it even comes out. It's not coming out till April 28th. I'll be thinking of him that night. Gail Durant Jr. Moose. Oh, by the way, in my book, there's 5-year anniversaries in my book. The first year, second year, and so on. They're all poems that I printed in the Union Leader, and I write them all myself. Hold on. Dry. How did that get there?
I didn't even see that. We all did.
Thank you, whoever bought it, and thank you. I think Darla was the first one. I don't know who the second one was. You know damn well if I drink those two, boy oh boy, I'm going to be really having some great fun tonight. I got a picture of my honey. He got a cigar in his mouth. That was him. Anybody that knew Bob, it was his cigars. Didn't like the idea that when he was dying that he was smoking them like cigarettes, but kept them quiet. What do I care? Kept them quiet. It was very costly. I should have just bought him a pack of cigarettes and got him back to smoking cigarettes, but that scent's still in the house and I love it. But here's the poem. Just remember, I was thinking of myself too. I'm trying to promote a book to help charity, which I will announce soon. Babe, it's 6 years now in heaven. Now just remember, it has to rhyme with side. Soul signs from the other side. Babe, it's 6 years now in heaven, where God has been your guide. Your heavenly family grows larger because someone we love has died. Aunt Florence and stepmother Mary came alongside for the ride. Those who really loved you, they told me that with pride. When Angela and Karen came along, oh, by the way, Karen, happy birthday, she's in heaven. Today's her birthday. A good friend of mine. When Angela and Karen came along, I bet you got wide-eyed because I lost 2 more friends for whom I loved and cried. One thing, I know you're proud of me and hope my new book reaches far and wide. You can buy it at Amazon called Soul Signs from the Other Side. It's a love story with signs you send to your forever bride. Proceeds go to charity. I pray it sells worldwide. I'll love you forever. I'm in it for the long ride. Until we meet again, our legacy will be told. Our spiritual memoir has finally arrived. Love, wifey, Gail. I have to make sure it says Gail, so if people wanted my book, they put Gail with Durant, then they go on Amazon and buy my book. Did I do good or what? I wrote it myself. I had to. I paid for it. I hope I sell at least 17 books. That'll get the money back for the kids. As of now, today, this morning, I sold 206 books online.
Nice.
I sold 30 more at home. How many books we sell today?
Down to one.
We're down to one. Got any bidders? Got any bidders? One book. Anybody want that book for $24.99? Got a lady over here. You're gonna buy it? So that means 22 more books went today. So that's about 250, give or take. That's $2,500 for charity and a little bit more when I sell books at home. $2,500, give or take a few more dollars, because when I sell them at home, I can put more money in the charity's pocket. So I'm hoping by maybe the end of March, I'll have $3,000 for them. But this is where it's gonna go. My choice, my charity. They were almost there. One paper and 2 more index cards. And I didn't cry yet. I cried all morning. I must have got all my tears out.
Liquid courage.
Sips. That's all I need. This is my charity. I have a few of them, so if this book flies, I got a great one that Carol Rubidoux told me about, but I don't want to mention it here. For now, I'm trying to keep the charity in New Hampshire. I'm from New Hampshire. I'm thinking it's Manchester. I'm going to meet up with them around November, December time frame. I'm going to have a big check made out. They're going to put me on their website. I'm going to put me on my website so everybody knows I'm not lying, that this money is going to go to a charity, and this is the one I picked. It's called Adoption and Maternity Services, but mainly for the adoption department. This is what they write. An act of love that lasts a lifetime. It's Catholic Charities right here in New Hampshire. So I figured, I live in New Hampshire and that's where it's gonna go. This is where my heart's in it for right now. It just takes off. I got a few more places I wanna do. Facing an unplanned pregnancy, we don't wanna talk about that. Choosing adoption, birth parents find comfort in knowing that they gave life and that their child will be raised in a secure and loving home. The staff at Catholic Charities offer guidance and support with care and understanding, adoption information, and counseling. They help with the opportunity to choose adoptive parents and the guidance on decisions about maintaining contact with the adopted family. Our professional staff also offers a continuum of post-adoptive care through confidential search and reunion services. As a licensed adoption agency, home studies for private adoptions can be provided. I don't know if a lot of you know this, some of you didn't read the book. Mother Mary visited me 4 times in my dreams. When you read the book, you'll know why. But she gave me plenty of messages, some I won't even talk about because they make no sense to me, but the ones that did, I tell about it in my book. I had problems with breathing issues, lung issues. I had surgery to open airway. I still have problems, but when I was going to the other side, she came and she helped me out. One time she was a nun, one time she was herself, but I can tell you, I never saw her face, but you knew it was her. And she brought me over this place where it was muddy and kids were looking up and we were flying. I don't like flying, and we're flying and I can't breathe, and I asked her to slow down and she did. And she told me, I said, all those kids, it was muddy and everything. I'm going to tell you that I didn't write in the book, but I'm going to share it with all you here. She told me, I said, they can see us, and she said, yes. I go, everything's muddy, torn, huts. I said, look bad. I said, but all I saw was kids. She said, you're going to help those kids out. I go, where's their parents? She goes, that's going to be your job. She told me she's helping me out. And I'm here today, I had the surgery, she hasn't been back. But she told me to help those kids out that don't have parents. That's why I didn't see parents. When I woke up that day sobbing, I woke my husband up because she also told me that I was going to lose my husband. He was going to go before me and then I had a job to do. Only after he passed, because I told her I couldn't do it until, I didn't know he was going to pass, but she told me he was going to go before me. After he passed, I knew I had to do this job for her, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. How was I going to make money and help kids without parents, and what was I going to do? And I always knew all my life I was going to write a book, but for some reason I always thought I was going to write a children's book. That stayed with me for a long time. And then my friend Darla, have a stand. Stand up, Darla. Come on, Darla. My friend Darla, she said, Gail, why don't you do a book on signs? Why don't you do a book on signs? That's what you're good at. And I knew she had something there. And that's what I did. I decided to do a book on signs. So with Mother Mary's help, I got it done, and I'm hoping that I raised the money for the kids without the parents. But I'm going to tell you something that nobody else knows. When I woke up that day and I was sobbing, and Bob woke up and he hugged me, and I knew she was going to be right, but I didn't know when they were going to come for Bob. I just believed in it, but I didn't know when. So we lived our lives like it was our last day, and that's how you all should live your lives. But I told him, I said, Bob, I felt like I was where there was a tsunami. I felt like there was a lot of kids without parents, and I felt like there was a tsunami because of all the mud on their faces, the huts. Everything was torn, and it was blown away. I was just blown away by it. And you know, that weekend, Sri Lanka had a tsunami. And I always knew that that must have been what she was showing me, but ahead of time. It was almost like a premonition. I didn't talk to nobody about that either, not even Bob. Of course, I'm not going to tell him. Mother Mary said, you're going to be gone. I didn't know when. I just lived each life, gave him the best life I ever could. I couldn't have done that but without Bob and all you that gave me permission. My family, my siblings, all the stories in there. Some of the best stories in that book. How many of you like the Red Wagon? Come on, that was a vision. That was a vision. How about the time me and my brother, we had a seance? We had a seance and we rigged the seance, and then we got scared ourselves, but I don't want to give it all away to you guys, you know? But one story that I wrote in that book, I mean, there's a lot of them. I mean, going to the cemetery, I love going to the cemetery on Halloween. Ooh. Oh, I love it. I love it. But when you tell your friends, I can feel them grasping from behind, and then you turn around, you're in the middle of the cemetery, and your friends are still at the goddamn gate. What the hell are you doing over there? We're not standing behind you. You said they're all after you. We're not walking behind you. How can you not tell those stories? How can you not? You know, some things that happened on those days, the camera, I had a 35 millimeter Bob's. I'd go inside the gate and they'd say, Gail, stop flashing your camera. And we'd go, flash, flash. I go, it's not me. It's not me. And something told me, I don't know who talks to me, something told me, step outside the gate. I stepped outside the gate and it stopped. One of my friends said, that's freaky. I go, freaky, this is awesome. I love this stuff. This is awesome. Get back inside the gate and we'd do it again. And all of a sudden, the one that didn't want us there, I don't know why, because most of the cemeteries are pretty good there. I haven't had no problems, but this one particular time, I could feel him behind me, and if you look in my book, I don't even know what page it's on. My hands are fisted because I'm nervous. He's winning because I'm about ready to leave myself. But I said, take a picture now. He's behind me, and they got a big orb, and it's in the book. There's a big orb, but what you can't see is there's a skeleton in that orb. We tried to blow it up and make it show better, but when you take a picture of a picture, it doesn't really come out good. But trust me, there's a skeleton in that orb, and he was smiling because I was on my way out. After this, I'll be signing some books, so enjoy the party, but I'm not done yet. Imagine that. I said I'm not done yet. Woohoo! Now, the next, number 8. Any questions? Anybody have any questions for me? Oh, I like this. Oh.
Will you be writing a children's book?
Well, I got people that want me to do a picture book, people that want me to do a children's book. The thought is there. But I'm going to tell you something, and I'll be honest with all of you. This was a costly book for me. I'm a little peon trying to find my way. So I paid an editor, I paid a publisher. Pictures is very, very costly. But I needed the pictures to show proof of my signs. And that's what I hope all of you get out of my book, is my signs with pictures of proof. And the way I talk, that to me is heaven. And that's another thing I want to talk about. When you die, what you love on earth is going to be in your heaven. Just remember that. Because I've seen my heaven. I've seen it. I've seen the trees, calm water. I don't like the beach. I'm afraid of it. Flowers, animals, and a lot of people that passed before me. I'm leaving them all. My mom, Ray. I can go on. Music was in my, I saw balconies. It was beautiful. What you love on earth, trust me, will be in your heaven. And that's all I can. Nobody has any questions. Hallelujah. You sure? Wow. Now, I guess I'm on card number 9. I made it. Oh my God, I gotta have a drink to that. Salud, yeah. This is for all of you. Raise your glass. Everybody raise your glass. Look at this hall. Somebody said, I gotta tell you this. My editor said, first let's have the drink. Here's to all of you. Thank you for coming. I did it. I can't believe it without crying. My publisher says, why don't you do a library? I kept saying, oh, all the people I know, there's no way a library is going to hold us. Look at this hall. It's packed. I love you. I thank you all for coming. Now I have my claim to fame, my 15 minutes of fame. I believe in soul signs from the other side because I wrote the book. That's it. Oh, wait a minute. I have to have Kara Rubadu up here at this time. Rubadu. Come on up. Hey, I gotta tell you, I appreciate this woman. She takes on this story. She takes on that my book came out. She's gonna take on today's story. God, I love her. I don't even have to pay her.
Friendship dollars. Friendship dollars.
I know.
Friendship dollars. So we're gonna have Jody come up and set up. She's got a little setting up to do before she does a couple of performances. So she's gonna take care of that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how I got to know Jody.
Oh, is that on?
How about now?
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about how I got acquainted with Jody. It's another one of those stories. So I had met a friend of Mark's, right? Paul Boynton. I was doing a story about Moore Center services. How many of you know Moore Center? They do some great work, and they were having their annual event, and Paul had gotten to know Mark. Everything gets fuzzy after 10 years. But Mark and Paul had become acquainted. Why don't you come up here, Mark? Yeah, Mark? Yeah, I mean, there's really nobody, we could tell the story together, and Mark, nobody can tell the story about Jody better than Mark, probably. But. Oh, we're just talking briefly while Jody sets up, and you're all set up. Oh, well, we're just gonna, just real quick. Yeah, just come over here. I would like maybe Mark to introduce Jody, because without Mark, Jody would probably be.
Absolutely.
I don't know where she'd be. So.
You're on the spot.
It's like encourage me.
Okay, I'm going to try to tell it with speed. I was speaking at Paul Boynton's Moore Center event as a keynote speaker, and a young girl came over to me and asked me if I could speak at her high school. So I said, "How much are you going to pay me?" But the girl left and she started crying, and it made me so ashamed of how I acted. I went over to her and I said, "I'll speak at your high school." And I said, "I'll make you a hero." So just try to make her stop crying. Anyway, I went to the high school, and after I gave a speech, a teacher came over. I forget the teacher's name.
Mr. Nola now.
Okay. Mr. Nola now.
Miss Courtney.
Is her name now?
No, Nova.
So Mr. Nola comes over and says, she has Jody, and she says, "Can this girl sing for you?" I was leaving, and I said, "Sure." And she's standing right in front of me, like this close, and she's staring me in the eyes, and she's singing. Her eyes are just fierce. And so I was so blown away by her. I asked, "Can I take her into another room and put her through the ringer?" The teacher said, "Why don't you put her through the ringer right in front of everyone?" I said, "Do you want to do it?" She said, "Sure." So I went back, Jody sang, and now I'm seeing Jody full body and everything. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this girl is a pop sex. I mean, it's just, she had everything going for her. She's sexy, she's beautiful, she's singing great. It's like, you know, like a Britney Spears, I thought. And but then she's singing ballads, and her voice is way beyond Britney Spears. And I'm thinking, I've never seen anything like this. So I say to her, wow, you're so beautiful. You must get that all the time. And she says, no, only you. I said, only me. I'm the only person that ever, remember, I just met her. So then I say, dance a little. So she's dancing. I say, you're the best dancer I've ever seen. I said, you must get that all the time. She says, no, only you. And I'm thinking, this girl is so smart. She knows how to win me over. She has all this talent. She's beautiful, she's sexy. She has you could check every box and she has it. So right there, I call my partner, who is the biggest manager in the history of show business. His name is Freddie DeMann, and he has Michael Jackson, Earth, Wind and Fire, Lionel Richie, and Madonna. And he created Maverick Records for Madonna. And I leave a message that you gotta see this girl, and I leave her phone number. And then I think the next day, why am I giving it to him? Why am I just doing this? So I went to meet the teacher, her parents, and I said, I want to take Jody out of high school. I will convince the principal to give her her degree. I got to take her to Beverly Hills. I got to introduce her to everyone I know. And every person I introduced this girl to flipped. I mean, the older guys wanted her to marry their sons. They really saw nothing like her. And I said, I found this great star, and she's gonna make me millions. She's gonna make me rich. And then what happened? I got sick, but she learned everything from me. She learned how to do things for herself. And everything that's happened since that time, Jody made it happen herself. Every gig, every stardom, every paycheck, and I have such pride that I taught her. She had the talent and she had the looks, but I taught her how to be wise in show business. So she's the greatest, actually one of the greatest things that ever happened in my life. I love her like a daughter, and here she is. Jody.
So I'm going to be crying a lot today. I certainly went to the University of Schoenfeld. Bear with me because the Wi-Fi is a little wonky, so I'm going to start and then I'm going to restart just to make sure it's right.
Actually, my face it. Just a little.
Don't step over the cord, it's fine.
You're gonna like your voice, okay?
Hello, check. All right, so before I start, I had this whole speech written and I'm scratching everything. And I just want to tell my Auntie Gail what an amazing speech that was. I'm so proud of you. I love you. You brought me to tears talking about Uncle Bob, and I just want to dedicate this to Uncle Bob.
Later, okay? Not right now. Okay, bye.
I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Well, your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her standing on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew ya. She broke your throne, she cut your hair. From your lips, she drew the hallelujah. 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 True love. It's not the cry that you hear at night. It's not someone who's seen light. It's a cold air. It's a broken hallelujah. 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 Nervous. It is the hardest to sing when you feel like you're gonna cry. Get a lump in your throat. Yeah. All right. So let's get the party started. Let's see. All right. Now, assuming that the Wi-Fi works, hopefully. As my aunt mentioned, I sing background vocals for Cher. And now I'm going to do some background vocals for the woman that we are all here to celebrate.
Bye.
And if you read her book, you know that she knows how to get the party started. She's also been known as the meanest tambourinist. I'd like to call
sorry. I'm out of breath. I have one issue you read about in the book. Just go over there and eat. I baked all day. Those cookies are awesome. Peanut butter, no bake, oatmeal. Go help yourself, please. I'm going to be signing books.